Kia ora and welcome to revision 8. This revision, the focus of this is called Notes to the Accounts, and these ones will focus on the balance sheet. Tomorrow we're going to move on to the balance sheet on revision 9, and then we'll finish off with 10 looking at the cash budget. So today, the notes to the accounts, we're going to look at 3. First one is the accounts receivable note. For this one, again, if you can get your exercise book and get the notes in. So the first one's called the accounts receivable note. I'm using this from last time, so head up in your exercise book, number 1, accounts receivable note, and all we're going to do is these 2 bits today from something that we've got in the past. So I don't need you to write this out. What I did want you to do is the note here, and we'll transfer that through to the balance sheet. So the first one, the accounts receivable note, we've got accounts receivable. You can see here that we've actually made the change already. It was 33,700. We wrote off a bad debt, and then we added an invoice that we sent out to customers. So the change figure is 36,000. So that in the notes to the accounts, we're going to put accounts receivable as the heading. So if you can head this up, note 1 accounts receivable, and then accounts receivable. Underneath that again, we'll write account receivable, which will help us get that spelling right, and write your 36,000. That 36,000 comes from the new figure that you've got here. Note that the examiner gives a PC mark, 2 marks from this total note. After that, we're going to write less allowance for doubtful debts, and this will be the changed figure that you've made in your trial balance. So it was 800, it's gone up to 1,400. I think that's 4% of accounts for this question, for pay to pull, which means that the total of accounts receivable, or net accounts receivable, will be 34,560. Now the purpose of the accounts receivable note and all the notes is to avoid clutter in the balance sheet. So we want to take out all the extra things and just put the things that are important to the users of the financial information. So that 34,560, your 36,000 minus your allowance, comes up here. So a new heading is current assets. In the current assets, we've got accounts receivable, right at 34,560. If you can get that one in. And we're going to add that. Gives us 52,560 as your total current assets. Other current assets that would be included could be things like prepayments, accrued income, inventory, and that one there will give us another mark. So we've got a couple of marks added here. So what's important is we've taken the clutter out of the accounts receivable in the current assets section. So we've got current assets, accounts receivable, just the net figure. Alright, and that's come from your accounts receivable note. And you get 1, 2, 3, 4 marks for that, which is quite useful. Once you've got that finished, we'll move on to the next part, which is the major part we'll look at today, the property, plant and equipment note. Alright, so press pause. And what I'd like you to do is write up note 2, property, plant and equipment. Right, once you've got that done, we're going to work through this one. I'll move my face out of the way. And we've got some information about it. Now in the exam, normally you'll only get 1 because they'll just want to check your skill on it, but businesses will have many items of property, plant and equipment. The reason why we write the note is because in the balance sheet, if we have our 20 different classifications of property, plant and equipment, your balance sheet would be really, really big. So what we do is we put that separate in a separate note called note 2, property, plant and equipment. So the easy things we're going to do just from the trial balance itself. We'll see that equipment, we'll find the figure for that is 90,000 here. So we're going to go down to the bottom part first. And we'll put 90,000 as the cost. So this is this figure out of the trial balance. Normally we do the bottom part first. The accumulated depreciation is that total figure, and you see there's a new figure here. We crossed out the 12 and put 21. So we're going to put minus 21,000 to show that we're subtracting it. So our cost minus our accumulated depreciation is called the carrying amount. And it's simply, because I'm using Excel, I can add those two together and you'll get that figure as well. That's 69,000. Right, and that 69,000 is it's at a point in time. So right now at the 31st of March 2021, the value of our equipment, the carrying amount, is 69,000 here. That figure we can put up here. And so those two should be equal. So the top part is what happened during the year. So it tells us a little bit around the story of property and plant and equipment for the year. So we can actually calculate the opening carrying amount for that. So the opening carrying amount is sort of, or could have been, 90 minus that 12. But if we look further down, we can see some information in note 6, which we haven't crossed off. So we're going to work our way backwards to find the opening carrying amount. On the 1st of April, old scaffolding was traded in with a cost value of 12,000. It had accumulated depreciation of 9,000. So the carrying amount of the asset that we got rid of was $3,000. So we're going to put that here in disposal. And because it's we're taking it off because it says less, we'll put minus 3,000. In accounting, we like to put that in brackets. So that's taken off. Remember, it's the carrying amount of the item that you sell. And in this case, the cost price was 12,000. The accumulated depreciation on that scaffolding was 9,000. So the carrying amount of the scaffolding we sold was 3,000. That's why we put 3,000 here. The depreciation of equipment that year, we can find that in our trial balance. You've calculated that 9,000. Because it's less, we'll write minus 9,000 there. And it tells us down here 20,000 was spent on new scaffolding. So that's going to be our addition. So we can work backwards. What you do have to know though is you have to know these parts. These are not going to be given to you in the exam. So you have to remember opening carrying amount plus additions minus disposal minus depreciation is closing. And you must remember as at is cost minus accumulated depreciation is closing carrying. Calculate the opening carrying, we just work our way backwards. So it's 69,000. And we're going to minus that one, minus that one. And add back, actually that's probably not going to work. So just 69,000 instead of mining sync because we're adding it back. I was trying a minus, which would have worked anyway. In your calculator, 69,000 at the bottom, plus 9,000, because we're working backwards, plus 3,000, minus 20,000. And it said that at the start we had 61,000. You might like to check that. 61 plus 20, minus 3 minus 9, that should give you 69,000. And those two balance. Right, when you do this in the exam, you're getting a mark on each one of these that you put in. So you have to get the right name here and the right number. And those numbers, some of them made changes from what we did here. That's why your trial balance is so important. Right, we'll move on to the last part. I see we need practice of that, which is cool. So we've got two notes. First note is your accounts receivable note. Let's get back to PowerPoint. First note's your accounts receivable note. Second note's your property, plant, equipment. And your third note is these other notes here. So the other notes are written notes. This is the only time you have to do writing in this external. And the easy part is you're just copying out what is in the additional information in the resource sheet. So the first one you'll get is depreciation rates. This is a note to the income statement. And you can see here, this is from the 2018 paper. It says depreciation on electrician's van is 40,000 per annum. So that's what you write, and you get a mark for that. It says depreciation on buildings is 2% straight line per annum, And as an electrical work expense, again, you just copy that out into the exam, and that gives you a mark. And the last one, diminishing value, copy it out, put it in your exam, and that gives you a mark. Some people get scared off by doing that, but it's really important that you do. And the last one that's important, so that's note 3. Note 4 is often, if you've got shares, the value we have in the balance sheet is what we paid for those shares, but it's not the current market value. In our balance sheet, we always keep the historical cost, or what we paid for the shares, so we'll keep that, but we will put a note to the accounts, which is this one down the bottom here. So the shares in Mercury Limited have a current market value considered to be fair value of 15,840. That was from a previous exam as well. So again, you just copy that out. That's the end of the video for today. The 2 work things for you to do is I've got you notes to the accounts. I'm going to give you an adjusted trial balance. I'd like you to do all parts of the notes to the accounts. So number 1, you're going to write the notes for the accounts receivable note. Number 2, you're going to write the property, plant and equipment note. And number 3, you're going to write the depreciation and share note. Okay, that's the first part of the exercise. Second part, there's another Kahoot for you to do. All right, and I'll be checking up on those. Well done on getting through to revision 8. 2 to go. Next one's balance sheet, last one's cash budget, and we're all done. Look forward to seeing you back in class. Ka kite anō.